So, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time is for you, and whatever time zone of the world you are. I see just that Randall coming. Is he here? No audio? No audio. Just Randall. Sorry, we just sent the animations without audio. Thank you for noticing. That's what made on purpose. Good afternoon, Jose Maria. Audio's working now. Thank you, Randall. And Víctor. Hello. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I am really excited about this session because this session is for me really special to be here with a great guest, Kirupa, and the great Alfredo with us. Hi, Kirupa.
How are you all? Hi, good morning, evening, whatever time zone you're in.
Hello, Alfredo.
Hey, how's it going?
Your background looks a bit special.
Yeah, a little bit. It was my last trip to Thailand. Very nice. So I come back and ready to do a lot of events in the coming months.
Oh, great.
Alfredo,
Well,
you were
maybe
in Thailand last week.
Yes.
Let me make publicity on where I was this weekend. Take a look at this. Look. You know, any of you knows what's that? I was in London, seeing an amazing show by ABBA. It's incredible. It's something special. By the way, you say before we started, Kirupa, that you're gonna go next week. I mean, this is not secret, to Las Vegas for the Cloud Next, and
That is correct.
Those guys are having his third year in London doing that ABBA Voyage show, and the next step seems to be to go to Las Vegas. That is the place to go for a big show like it is. So maybe next time not this one, for next Google Globe, they will be there. So, Víctor, what is the agenda for today? ABBA, yes, Randall, ABBA Voyage. It's really beautiful spectacle. Thinking about that, those guys are really old now. Some of them are 80, on 80s, and the spectacle is made in holograms, and they're very pretty achieved. Very an amazing technically spectacle. Of course, the music, you have to be a little bit old to know about ABBA, but the spectacle is crazy. So, but we are not talking about the spectacles. We're going to talk about coding. Víctor, go.
Yeah. Project IDX is it's a really great tool for, I think it's the next step for development because, actually is like the next step in a sense way. So Kirupa, what do you think? How long time has you been developing IDX, if can be?
Yeah, we started IDX about 3 years ago, in terms of like having the idea for let's start with something small, let's see what interest is going to be and go from there. And the response has been quite good. We went public at I.O. last year, and we're going to have some pretty cool announcements hopefully at I.O. this year as well, and even Cloud next week. So we're continuing to just move full speed ahead on just making it more usable for all kinds of app developers. The phrase I like to use is that build any app from any device from anywhere. And so we're trying to make sure that we're going to continue on that path going forward.
Yeah, maybe Kirupa, can you introduce a little bit for our audience what is IDX? That maybe someone doesn't know about the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So IDX is a cloud-based development environment. And what the goal really is that if you're an app developer and like to build apps, whether you want to use a lot of AI or very little AI as part of your app development, IDX is going to give you a good starting point. You can start from a large collection of templates, whether it's web-based, back-end, front-end, full stack, cross-platform mobile. Flutter and Dart, for example, is a big part of our focus. We want to make sure that we give you a great story where you don't have to spend time setting up your machine, installing stuff, and doing all the things that people generally don't like about it. And so because it runs in the browser, it's collaborative. You can share your workspace with other people, have multiple people working on that same project together. It really just kind of takes the best parts of software development, removes all the pain and just the noise and the drama, often related to like installing things and making sure it works on my machine, does not work on your machine, what's going on here. So simplifying a lot of that and just making it very fast for you to be able to get your app and focus on things you care about.
And also, I have seen a really big community around the IDX. It's amazing because this is something that maybe cannot be accessed by other people. But I have been in the shadow reading comments and reading improvements, and I trust a lot of people is actually using. Do you know? I don't know if you have a number of real users or active users using IDX, or this is something that cannot be named. But I would like to know, what do you think? Do you feel or think that we will have more big steps with IDX, or do you think now the point is make it as stable as possible? What is the next big deals of IDX?
Yeah, I can't tell you what the next big things are, but I will say we have some really interesting things, planned. We're just getting started. The way I like to say is that our foundation was, we started off with a virtual machine. We gave you a Microsoft Code OSS, VS Code based environment, so all your extensions and familiarity, keyboard shortcuts, and all that work. Then we added a layer of Nix OS-based customizability, so you can take your machine, your configuration you have locally working, configure that to run in the browser in really complicated ways, your dependencies, your tool chains, whatever you or your organization needs, get it up and running. That, to me, is almost like the foundation of what we need to go to the next level for being able to build apps. Because when we look at it, right, we're not really looking at just toy apps or greenfield apps, like brand new applications that are very simple. We really look at professional developers. You have very complicated dependencies and tool chains and things you need to make sure it all works. So we want to make sure that IDX is the best environment for being able to do that. Also, we definitely want to make sure you can build the kind of apps that are less technically complex, just so you want something that can be, for a lot of developers, they don't need something very complex. They have an idea for an app, they can iterate on it using artificial intelligence and then be able to take it, publish it, and do all these things. We definitely want to make sure that audience is respected as well. But for us, though, I like to write code. I think all of you here like to write code as well. And we build things that are complicated in some ways. We don't want to lose that as well, because as far as we know, that's not going away anytime soon. The kind of apps that people want to build, the kind of things you're looking for, it's still going to require a certain amount of sophistication that could be handled more by artificial intelligence, of course, but you still need an environment that allows you to be able to have an AI that goes through and is able to orchestrate a Go backend and a front end in like your favorite language, or something in Java or .NET, or any combination of things, because existing developers, they have their preferences of what they like and don't like and so on. So we don't want to be kind of one of those tools that says like, you must use only HTML, CSS, JavaScript in this particular framework, and then there's nothing going to be running in the server. You need to do other things. We're like, yeah, if you want that, we'll give you that. But if you want more, we want to give you more as well. So our goal really is to kind of meet developers where they are and help nudge them to where we think they might want to go, but not at the expense of being able to say like, yeah, sorry, you're no longer their audience for us. You're a developer, but we're focusing on a different developer, so you can't be parting with us on this tool. So we want to make sure that we are as accommodating of all the very diverse developer ecosystems and needs that just software development often has. And we learned a ton through IDX on what people like, what they do, and just tool chains I never even knew that people wanted to create. They've been doing some really fun stuff.
And do you think we will see other IDEs more than visual? For example, Android Studio, we show that actually is in preview, and I have been able to see the capabilities of this. Do you think we will see I don't know, I'm not saying now, and maybe in the future we will see other tools for build apps like Xcode, or like I'm not saying right now, I'm saying they could be in the roadmap in the future?
At least from the IDX side, our current focus really is on making sure the core experience we give you right now is really good. As you know, we are working very closely with the Android Studio team to make sure that there's an Android Studio experience that runs entirely inside IDX. I think many of you who are watching it might be on the beta already or on the preview who have access to it. And so we do have various efforts in that way going. For Xcode specifically, that's something that, we don't have any strong ideas on. Building for the Apple ecosystem has its own little challenges in terms of like, the machine type you need, the VM quality, and the power and performance you need for that. But if people are asking for us and it's something that Apple is also interested in, wanting to explore, I'm sure we'd love to work with them, just like we work with everyone else in the ecosystem to provide their template or the integration or even their tooling story inside it.
Yeah. Actually, for me it is amazing. The main idea, thinking like people with cheap laptops, developing cross-platform in any place. It sounds like a new era of computing development. And
Yeah,
again,
and also,
yeah.
yeah, and also to add, like for example, us as speakers, and we participate in a lot of Google events. When we make workshops, it is always a painful, to be able to set up every laptop of the people in the workshop. So these kind of tools like IDX, I faced in my previous workshop. A lot of people using it. Very easy to configure, very easy to set up for Flutter, and they can follow up the workshop very easily. More than people with their own laptops that brings to the workshop and they didn't install Flutter. So it is very nice also for this use case.
This is
very much.
Randolph
for
says.
Flutter. People always say that.
This is what Randolph says just a few seconds ago, that in his latest GTG workshop, it took 30 seconds instead of half of the time they have for the lab. So this is a very good advance. So I have a question for you also, Kirupa. We commented a little bit briefly before we started the real thing. We have Víctor, Alfredo, and me, and many other colleagues from the GTG community, and also from the GDE community. Alfredo is Google Developer Expert in Flutter, and hopefully Víctor will be soon. Not because I do many other kind of stuffs. We share a common goal. We have an open source community with a code that is the Liquid Galaxy thing. This was a Google ideated platform for showing up the contents of Google Geo, whatever, Google Earth, Google Street View, and so on. It was in 2008. It's a very old project now. And we have plenty of new contributors, students coming every year to us to develop code. What can be your worst about for these young people, I will say, start to using IDX next to the speed or the no need to be. So what are your arguments to this kind of people?
Yeah, I think there are several. I think one of the big ones is that we have Gemini integrated throughout the full experience. If you want to use AI to be able to modify the current snippet of code you're in or in your page, or make changes across your entire project, with these agentic AI experiences, so you can take advantage of all that very nicely. So that's one of the things. The other one also is we give you a pretty large set of starting points, where if you want to, you can start from a blank project and configure your environment the way you want to. But if you're learning, for example, Python or Java or any of the other things that requires you to set up more things, or even the typical workshop case, you have an environment that works today that keeps working on multiple machines. You might be in your laboratory at school, or you might be in your workplace. You have a different machine than what you have at home. You can have a consistent environment so that no matter where you're accessing from, as long as you have an internet connection, you have the exact state of your app working without having to push to Git, do all kinds of syncing and those kinds of things. And the other big one is also collaboration. You can share your workspace with your friends or your colleagues, and they can work on your same projects. If you have a bug, for example, instead of copying and pasting a snippet or a screenshot and having someone recreate it for you, you can just share a link to your workspace, and then they can open it up. You can see them editing the code in real time on your machine, and they can help you debug in real time. And these are all things we already have shipping right now, and we have more improvements planned in all these areas, continuing to add to what we talked about earlier. We have cool new things we'll be talking about in the next couple of months, but we're also continuing to make the product reliable, faster, scalable, so it's available in more regions, including geographically, all the various things that we just need to make it your daily driver.
Without simplifying it, your words remember me to the first time we all use Google Docs, that somebody comes in on your document and start to write next to you and many other persons together. So this is
between what Figma has done on the design space and what Google Docs has done on the traditional productivity space, there's a lot of great learnings that we can take and be able to see what makes the most sense for developers as they're building apps, whether they're building it amongst a handful of people like pair programming, or in a large organization with like hundreds of people working. What are the things that make you most productive.
And Alfredo and Victor, I have a question for you. You two are on the hard coding every day as developers working for different companies. So Alfredo, for example, are you planning to use IDX for your thing?
I have plans because I have an iPad, and my goal is sometimes I cannot travel with my iPad only, and if I have to do something in my code, I can do in the iPad instead of bring with me the MacBook. So that's my goal. I expect in the incoming months that I can do it.
Yep, the iPad works really well with Project IDX. One thing that I'll just give you a heads up is that third-party cookies is something that we do rely on right now. We're slowly removing our reliance on third-party cookies as part of it. The default security settings on the iPad, you might need to relax them, just for IDX. So just give you a heads up that if you try it for the very first time, we're like, wait, what is this error I'm getting? But our documentation and on our forums, we talk extensively about how to address it in the short term while we make the more proper fix longer term.
Cool. There are any plans to bring this web experience to an app?
On a mobile device, like a native app on a mobile. Yeah, we get asked that a lot, and it is something we're thinking about. Nothing confirmed here, no plans yet, because for us, the thing is that we looked at all the other mobile app-based development solutions. It's hard to replicate the full developer workflow inside that screen. So what many tools do is they have a subset of the experience. Like, for example, I can triage my GitHub issues, for example, or I can use AI to modify my application, but not do the typical debugging and those kinds of things. We're trying to figure out what the sweet spot ultimately is, because for us, again, the goal really is professional developers. You want to make sure that you're building real production quality apps and the challenges that go with production quality app development. And so when we think about it from that lens, there are certain things that naturally make sense as an app, and there are other things that do not make a lot of sense as well. So we're trying to figure out where the best opportunity is for us, because in our role also, we're to partner with other companies also. So if they have other companies doing a really good job on how to make it easy to triage with various products, or make it easy to use AI specifically for this, and you can use Gemini for part of that work as well. We'd rather just be like, use IDX for these things, use this other product for these other things, and we all work really well together because it's all Git-based. We're based on open standards and an open platform. There's nothing that we're doing that's going to be unique to us specifically. So let's figure out how we can, grow with the ecosystem together.
Victor,
Nice.
Are you planning something at your small company? I want to say small with quotes.
To be honest, yes. Maybe we are really ambitious with this, because actually we are using it, but we have more plans to bring this inside of our clients who has already a Google Cloud or a really big Google Cloud account that we can use and involve with it. Actually is completely on the road, because to be honest, we are planning the best way to do this. But well, I think this is everything that I can say.
No, of course. Kirupa, we have a question also from Randall on the web, on the site, on the YouTube chat. Randall is asking if the Gemini inside the IDX is the same that the configuration as Gemini Code Assist?
No, it's a different version. We use this unlike Gemini models, so Gemini all the way. We use a multiple variety of models, including up to 2.5. But the implementation of it, the user experience, and the way it works is a little bit different. There's Code Assist does its own way of presenting the information. We do a different one.
Okay, so
Awesome.
This was for Randall.
I would like to do another question regarding the community. I think it's quite hard to put on your shoes. I mean, because the people you have IDX has a big community voting the best things or the best approaches or new features. How easy is to manage this in a team who has, I don't know, sprints or plans or roadmaps? How easy is to modify this to say, this functionality is really great, maybe we could include it? How easy, or maybe you can tell us as much as you can regarding this topic. I mean, did you found some new improvements, or how can you use this information without to introduce noise at the same time in the team?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, but the very nice thing is that the core team of those of us who started working on IDX and are continuing to work on right now, we all had backgrounds building products from the ground up and figuring out how to balance feedback from others, feedback from external community members, and our own points of view on where we think software should go. So we often balance it between here are the things that we know we want to focus on, and that's where we think the industry is heading on. So we're going to do things, even if no one has asked us for it. These are bets we make, and a lot of the core IDX capabilities you see, no one really asked us for it, but now that we have it, you see other development tools and platforms going like, that was actually a good idea. We should look into doing something like this. And there's a large list of things, for example, on what templates do we want to provide, or what are the top bugs or issues that people are having that makes them be like, I like IDX, but I wish it did something better. We use user voice to have community members go post publicly, vote amongst themselves on what the top voted issues are. So we have a pretty good list of that. We have very popular forums where, I personally like to respond to many questions, and the PM team and our engineering team and DevRel teams also like to respond to questions. So we're very actively just engaging with developers on a day-to-day basis because, it's not often you get the luxury of working on a product that you can use yourself. And so a lot of us are developers. The team is made up of developers, and we all use dev tools. And therefore, when we are building something, we're like, this makes a lot of sense. I would love this feature because it actually would make my own personal life really better. And in doing so, we often find that those kind of things end up benefiting everyone else also. So we have this many ways of prioritizing and getting feedback on things, both from our own internal dev team who are trying things out and going, we can do this better, and let's figure out a way to do this.
Sounds easy.
I mean, it's not easy, but it's what makes it entertaining, because building products is hard. As you all know, building something that's hard, building something people like is hard. Seeing the community traction for it and sustaining it over a period of time is very difficult. And we're just lucky to have a great audience of people who like to give feedback, who share things that they like, don't like, and we're able to look at that and go, we can do this very quickly and help address these gaps as well. So I think it's a we like to call, we don't say we're building in the open a lot, but that's really what we do. We are very transparent about our roadmap and what we're working on. Our roadmap is public, what we work on is public, and except for a few things that we like to keep under wraps because we like to have it as part of a big announcement. It's often fun to have a big announcement and a marketing moment and press release and so on. We tend to be very open about what we're working on next, what we're pulling back because we tried it, didn't work out. We're going to bring it back again and see how we can revisit it. We try to do that a lot because we're developers building for developers. So we're building for each other. Let's just try to keep it, friendly and social.
Great.
What can be best to develop a tool just in community, having as much as this kind of inputs for you that you are developers are developing the product, using it? I imagine, Kirupa, at certain moments you will have to balance, not you, but your team, the whole team saying, okay, I will do that, but we cannot do that because you have to do this thing of balancing.
Yeah, agreed. And it's we take quality and user experience very seriously. And so a lot of the feedback we get is around, my project works, but it doesn't do this properly. Or I'm working in Flutter and my dev tools aren't working right now. What do I do here? Those are things that we were like, that blocks you from being able to use the product to build the kind of app that you want. Those we take very seriously. And our goal really is to make sure that, what many people would be like, these are like fit and finish, or it's a UI bug, it's a low priority bug. For us, those are very important. We do care about making sure that there's little things that add up over a period of time before you go like, what? I can't use it anymore. Those kind of things, we want to avoid that. And so no matter how big or small of an issue, we make sure that we give all of them a certain level of equal treatment based on how much pain you would have if we didn't fix it. So we balance both those quickly. And yeah, luckily our team is, we have a great team. Kudos to my, my broader engineering team for being able to be agile, flexible, and react to things without requiring, a whole lot of context in many cases.
So, Victor, we already said that, but we have to find a way for our contributors at the project to use it. I mean, we have to, I'm going to say force, I'm going to say give them a project specifically to work on something together using IDX. What do you think about it? We have 3 minutes because Kirupa has to leave in 5 minutes. What do you think? We find to make some kind of social experiment in our community?
I think I totally agree. I think this is it is really easy to find a project that we can use and involve with this tool. Also, maybe could be easy, but I mean, as much I use it, more see how big is the project, the IDX project. Because, for example, the Android emulator, I thought it was like something simple, like in my machine. But if you research a bit of it, you can see it is connecting in a port. So it looks like it is not running exactly in the instance that I am using. So as much time I spend using IDX, more big I think is the project that the team has been done.
Yeah, that's very good feedback. We give you 100 gigabytes of space. With the, we're looking into ways of increasing that even further. But our emulator story is one that we want to definitely improve significantly. To be completely frank, the emulators run on the VM you're currently running your project itself in, which is good for certain kind of projects. But the larger your project gets, it gets more complicated because you might want GPU support, you might want additional things, you might be able to view it in landscape mode and portrait mode and switch various modes and things like that. And we know from Android Studio the capability exists. It's a really nice device manager with a lot of great ways of having emulators work really well. There's also the idea of like being able to work with the physical device lab itself. Firebase has a great product that allows you to do this, and Android Studio integrates with that very nicely. And in many cases, you may want to have your physical device also, that you'd be able to connect it with IDX running in the browser, still be able to see your app running on it directly as well. So a lot of things we have on our roadmap that we want to fix. It's in our public roadmap as well. So I'm not giving anything top secret here, but really we want to continue making it so that no matter how complicated an app you have, you get a very fast experience building it, because sometimes people give us feedback that their local Mac machine is much faster at building their project than IDX is. Because I'm like, yeah, those Mac machines are very powerful. Even those M1 machines, they're very nice. And so what can we do here to just increase the raw power of the VMs itself? So a lot of things we're juggling in our heads on like how to solve this. Top of mind for us. So hopefully you'll have something good to share about all of this in the next couple of months.
Oh,
2 minutes more. Last question, Alfredo. Something for Kirupa.
Yeah, I can only say that this is a very good product, and I'm looking forward for the future of the product to be publicly available for like a lot of people, like scaling it. But yeah, I don't have like a very specific question. I asked about this app to work in a mobile device. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if you have any ideas, Alfredo, on like what that app on a mobile device should do, we're always open to hearing it. So feel free to ping me. That my email address is publicly available. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere. Just ping me. I'd be happy to entertain some ideas, and we can get a call separately.
I will take a look. One question that maybe is good to, or can be a good thing to add to the, or maybe it's already having in the product. Do you have any option to provisioning machines for the developers? Like imagine that I can create some Visual Studio configuration with a few things that I can share with the participant in the workshop, and they can open directly the Visual Studio Code with all the things installed and configured.
Oh, we totally support that. It's one of the most popular things. What you can do, right, is you can create your own custom environment. Dev.nix is a file that configures your environment with all the, the installation of dependencies, frameworks, and packages. You can publish an entire repo to a GitHub location, and then now you can share that URL with the, open an IDX link, so that we can share the link with people. Anyone who clicks it, IDX loads, clones that repo automatically, and then they are out of the box have the same environment that you had specified earlier. So that way you can clone it very easily. We're looking at ways of speeding that up. We could cache it, for example. So if you're going to have an event, for example, not everyone needs to go to, install like 100 megabytes of NPM packages and, Flutter dev packages from pub.dev and so on. We're looking at all those ways to make it faster. But as a min bar, though, it definitely saves you the hours of time people typically said it takes to get someone set up for a Flutter workshop.
Nice.
Perfect. So we have to be on time because you, Kirupa, need to go. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope the people that has been listening to us directly and the ones that will come later get the point about using IDX. And thank you, Víctor, because you are the pusher here. I would say the pusher in Spain for IDX use. Thank you, Alfredo. We're not saying your heart. No? What's is that working today? Oh, bad. So Randall, I have to say Gemini Darpat removes all of my use case for IDX. Jose Maria says vertically framed presentation. Money is high. So thank you guys. Thank you, Kirupa, very much for your help. And we'll be in touch because we are doing plenty of stuff regarding your platform here, and we are expanding the world. So thank you very much, and see you again. Take care, guys.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Perfect.
Bye.
Everyone. Thank you.